Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today for the Q&A to celebrate 750 subscribers. Guys, I'm just so happy and excited and just in awe of the fact that 750 people have chosen to subscribe to my channel. I know from a YouTube perspective, but also even from a Booktube perspective, this is a relatively small number, but I'm just blown away by the fact that 750 people have decided that they would like to subscribe to my channel, and so I wanted to celebrate. I also chose to celebrate this relatively small milestone because otherwise the next milestone traditionally is 1,000 subscribers, and to be honest with you, my subscriber numbers have been going up and down quite a lot lately and also have sort of stalled a bit recently as well, and so I feel like it's going to take me a little while to get to 1,000 subscribers. So I really wanted to celebrate because I'm still just ecstatic that 750 people want to be part of my channel, part of this community. So thank you all so very much. If you happen to have come across this and you're not subscribed, then obviously please do so. That would absolutely make my day. If you are subscribed, thank you. It means the absolute world to me. So I did put up that I was doing this Q&A on several platforms. So I put it obviously up on YouTube, I put it in my community tab, I also put it on Instagram, and I also put it on Twitter. The majority of the comments I got, the questions that I got, came through on Twitter, so thank you to those people who did ask a bunch of questions. Quite a few people asked quite a few questions, so I'm going to answer obviously those questions and all of the people who have some kind of social media presence. So as I just said, most of them came through on Twitter, but a lot of the people who asked on Twitter do have a Booktube channel, so I will link their Booktube channels or whatever their main kind of social media presence in the description below. But yeah, so thank you so much to those people that did ask questions. If you didn't and you are watching this video and you have thought of a question, then please comment it below anyway, because I mean, I'm always up for answering questions, but also I could do another Q&A when I do hit 1,000, so it'd be great to have those there as well, if that makes sense. Anyway, yeah, some of these questions are bookish, some of them are about my channel, and some of them are personal. I haven't written down answers. This is all pretty much very much off the cuff, so let's get started. Alright, so the first bunch of questions is from Victoria, from What Victoria Read. So her first question is, what made you take the plunge and start your channel? I had talked about potentially starting a channel with my partner, and he suggested that rather than doing the Booktube, that I should do a parenting advice channel, because I have so much knowledge and training for looking after children that he thought that that would be a really useful tool to have. So that is the first channel I actually started, and I ran it for probably about a year and a half or something like that. I did really enjoy doing it, put a lot of effort into it, a lot of research and so on, but I wasn't really growing in subscriber count, and I wasn't really getting a huge amount of views, wasn't getting a huge amount of traction from it. And so originally I'd wanted to have a Booktube channel, and I had been watching, I'd still, even throughout making the other channel, the parenting channel, I had been watching a lot of Booktube, and so I decided, you know what, actually I do really want to have a Booktube channel, so I started the Booktube channel, and then I started getting subscribers, started talking to people in the community, started making some friends, and found that Booktube was just a community as opposed to what I was doing with my parenting channel, which made me feel very much kind of alone, I guess, and like I wasn't really getting a response, so I was kind of screaming into a void and didn't feel like I was getting much back. Didn't feel like it was really actually being as beneficial as we had originally thought it was. So it was kind of, I guess, watching other booktubers, but also gaining that experience through doing a different channel, but realizing that what I was most interested in was Booktube. I hope that answered the question. The next question that Victoria asked was, which video are you most proud of? So I'm pretty proud of a lot of my videos. I really enjoy making my Roll of Reads videos pretty much every month, and that is the game that I play to decide what my TBR will be each month. Really enjoy making those videos. They do get a lot of views and they're a lot of fun, so I'm definitely really proud of those. But I think the one that I'm most proud of is actually not a booktube video, and that is my video about IVF and infertility. So if you didn't know, I have blocked fallopian tubes, which means that falling pregnant has not happened, and we have been trying with IVF. It's been really hard, but I'm not going to go into too much detail about that there. But I did make a video probably in the middle of last year, I think, about the journey that so far up to that point, and I just feel proud because I feel like it was really cathartic, but also a really important video to make. A lot of people seem to get a lot out of that. So yeah, I feel like that was something that was really hard to do. So I'm proud of myself for doing it, and I think that one. I feel like maybe it needs an update, but I'm not sure if I'm not sure about that. So let me know in the comments below if that's something you'd be interested in. The next question that she asked was, what's the best book you've read because of Booktube? This is a really difficult question. Not even a book, but the author that springs to mind is Sarah J Maas, because as you guys probably know, if you've been around at all, I hadn't read any Sarah J Maas until I started on Booktube, and I started hearing people talk about, well, actually what I heard was people saying they were trash for Sarah J Maas. I didn't get what it meant when people said they were trash for Sarah J Maas. But anyway, I only read her books because of Booktube. I read Crescent City 1 first of all, and then I dived into ACOTAR. I read the first 3 ACOTAR books, and yeah, so I guess that's my answer, although that's not a book, but I'm sure Victoria won't mind. Sorry, I've just got cat hair just here. I not long ago had a cat sitting like right here, and all her fur has gotten everywhere. Thank you, Victoria, for those fantastic questions. Next up, we have my friend Eli. He has asked a number of different questions. Some of these are about Tasmania, which is where I live, because Eli is also Tasmanian. So the first question is, what's your favourite reading weather? I don't know that I have a favourite reading weather per se, but I do think that I really enjoy it when it is getting cooler and when it is kind of not necessarily rainy, although I quite like the rain when it's for reading, but when it's kind of a bit dimmer. And I think that's because I don't feel as guilty for like snuggling up on the couch and just reading. I mean, I don't really feel guilty for doing that in general, but I definitely don't feel like I ought to be doing something else, or I ought to be more active when it's getting colder and it's getting grayer and yeah, all that sort of thing. So I think that's probably my favourite reading weather, although to be honest, I will read in any weather, really. The next question that he has asked is favourite Tassie bookshop. Got to get that Tassie rep. Fuller's is my favourite Tassie bookshop. Yeah. It is really nice and spacious. They have a lot of fantastic books in there. They have some more of the more sort of well-known books, but they also have a quite big Tasmanian section, a big Australian section. They're more than happy to order stuff in for you, and they have some more lesser known works as well. So yeah, definitely that one. What's a book you think everyone should read? I find this a really difficult question because I've got a lot of favourites, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend a fantasy to Victoria, for example, because I know she doesn't read a lot of fantasy. But then I wouldn't necessarily recommend a big literary fiction to my mum, because she's not a huge fan of literary fiction. So that is a difficult question. I think that if you are a fantasy reader and you haven't read Lord of the Rings, then you need to do that. I think that if you love Harry Potter, then you should read Nevermore, the Nevermore series by Jessica Townsend, and Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. I just recently read Like a Charm by Elle McNichol. I think if you have children who are sort of, I guess, 8 and up to like 14, then you should encourage them to read that book. I think it's fantastic. If you're a teacher, you should get that in your classroom and read it to your kids. Those are some answers to that question. The next question that he has asked is, do you have any bookish habits? I'm not sure exactly what Eli means by this. I'm not sure if he is asking if I have any particular habits to do with how I read, or if I have like habits that I've picked up from books, or the way that I think about books or store them, or I'm not really sure how to answer that question. Sorry, Eli. Maybe you could comment below and let me know exactly what you meant, and then I could tell you. And the final question that he asked was, do you have multiple copies, special editions of any books? I think I have maybe like 2 different sets of multiple books, but I don't have them. They are because Rowan and I combined collections and we had a copy of some books. So we both happen to have a bind-up of all of the Jane Austen books, and we both have copies of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I think that's it. I think that's all we had. So I don't really have like multiple copies of a book that I've bought, and I do have a couple of special editions, but I don't have a special edition and then a version of, with the exception of Anne of Green Gables, which I literally just remembered as I was saying it. I do have this beautiful Puffin in Bloom version, and then I have one just little paperback version. So yeah, that's the only example of that I can think of. But anyway, that's all of Eli's questions. So thank you, Eli, for all those questions. The next question is from Kat from Stars and Embers, and she asked, if you could live in the world of any book, what would it be? Ooh, okay. So I actually answered this question sort of in a tag that I did recently, where I was talking about wanting to be a hobbit. When I was growing up, we were read The Lord of the Rings, and I definitely wanted to be a member of the Fellowship of the Ring, so I wanted to be in Lord of the Rings. I wanted to be an elf, but I'm definitely a hobbit. Let's be honest. So Lord of the Rings, 100%. I mean, apart from anything else, now, because of the movies, I could just live in New Zealand and then I'd be in Lord of the Rings. Next up, we have some questions from Meredith from Reading with Merb. So again, thank you, Meredith. So the first question that she asked is twofold. She said, have you travelled to any country outside Australia? And then where would you like most to travel next? So yes, I have travelled to a number of countries outside of Australia. I lived in the UK for almost 3 years, back in the middle of 2000s. So I've obviously been to England, and I have been to Ireland, I have been to Greece, I have been to Italy, I have been to Paris, I have been to Amsterdam, I have been to Belgium, I've been to New Zealand, I've been to Japan, I've been to the States, although I was really only I was in San Francisco and Boston, so I didn't see much of the States, but I've been there. I've been to Thailand, and I've been to Vietnam. I think that is everywhere. Yes. Where I'd like most to visit. I mean, anywhere. I would love to go back to the UK. I haven't been there for a number of years. I really, really love England. I think it's beautiful. I have a number of friends there that I had already, but now since I've started Booktube, I have a number of other friends there, so I'd love to visit them. I'd love to go back to Japan and see more of Japan, as I was only in Tokyo and a little bit in part of just outside of Tokyo. I'd love to go to Kyoto and lots of different places in Japan. I'd love to go back to New Zealand because it's beautiful, but also one of my best friends lives there, so I'd love to go and visit her. Places I haven't been, I really would love to go to Croatia. I think that it's supposed to be absolutely beautiful. I love the Mediterranean. It's an amazing place. I'd love to go to Iceland. I think that would be amazing, absolutely stunning scenery from what I've seen. But yeah, anyway. Then she has asked, favourite type of animal? Obviously cat. I do also love dogs as well, but cats, koalas. I've always loved koalas. It's so cute. The next question that Meredith has asked is, first book you can remember ever reading. So this depends on your version of reading. So I've mentioned on this channel a number of times that my parents read the Narnia Chronicles and The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit to my sister and I when we were very young. So those are my first memories of story and enjoying story, but they were read to me. I do not remember, although I'm sure that I did, but I do not remember any specific like kids picture books that I read. I mean, I'm sure I did read them, but I don't remember specifically any that I loved when I was a child. So yeah, in terms of reading for myself and to myself, a series called the Teddy Joe series by Hilda Stahl. This is a series about a young girl who is in the foster system because of various issues with her parents, and she ends up going to live with her grandparents, and it's about that. But it's also a Christian story. I feel like if I read it now, I'd potentially see some problematic things in it, but it was the first series that really made me want to read for myself and made me into a massive reader. So yeah, that's the answer to that one. And then the last question that Meredith has asked is favourite book cover. That is a difficult question. There are so many incredible book covers out there at the moment. But the first one that came into my head was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, the British cover, which is the one that we had here in Australia. I think it's beautiful. I think it's absolutely stunning. So yeah, that one. Thank you so much, Meredith, for those questions. The next couple of questions came from Barb, from Barb's Bookland, and Barb asked, who inspired you to start your channel? The first booktuber that I found was Murphy Napier. I think that I found her, I can't remember exactly what I was looking for, but I looked up something to do with Harry Potter, and I came across a video that Murphy made, which was her unpopular Harry Potter opinions, and I really enjoyed that, and that kind of, that made me go into watching lots of videos from Murphy. From there I kind of found out that Booktube was a thing and fell down the rabbit hole of Booktube. So definitely the first person that made me come across Booktube in general was Murphy Napier. In terms of who made me start my channel, I think it probably was still Murphy. Yeah, I'd say Murphy. And then her next question is, who are your biggest supporters? All of you amazing people who have subscribed to my channel, all of you incredible people who have tuned into this video. I have to say, probably my all-time biggest supporters since almost the very beginning of my channel would be Kat from Stars and Embers. Kat commented on, I think, my second ever video, and she's been around since the beginning. She has commented on loads of my videos. She's helped out with a bunch of different things that I have done as part of this channel. She's always happy to be in my reading sprints, both on screen as a host and also in the chats. So definitely Kat. Obviously Ellie and Lana and Paige, who I talk about absolutely all the time. They are on a lot of my reading sprints. They message me, they send me gifts, they do all of those amazing things. So definitely those three people. Helen from Helen's Bookhaven was someone who I came across because of the Eurovision-a-thon, and we've become friends because of that. Connor from Connor's Library Corner is the first person that I ever buddy read with, and we've been good friends ever since then. So many people. It's hard to name because there are just so many people who have been around and supported me, come to my reading sprints, but I think those people are probably my biggest supporters. Books with Krista asked favourite video you've made, which I think is a little bit different from the video you're most proud of, and I think that I did answer that though when I said that one of my favourite videos to make is the Roll of Reads. It's just so much fun. It's just so much fun to play and to film, and the whole concept of the game is just really fun. Plus, when my cats get involved, it's always funny, so that helps as well. And also, they just do really well. They're definitely my most watched videos, and that's also really nice. So yeah, that's that one. This is not really a question, but I'm going to say it anyway because it kind of proves my previous point about the biggest supporters. Paige did ask, how are you so amazing? So, thanks, Paige. Liv from Endless Pages has asked, what are your favourite videos to film? Yeah. roll of reads. I also really enjoy doing wrap-ups. So roll of reads, what I'm going to read, and wrap-ups, what I have read. I'm a basic. She also asked, what's a genre you would love to read more from? So you guys know that this year, and last year as well, but this year I've really been trying to focus on reading some more graphic novels. So that's something I definitely want to read more of, although I don't know if that technically classifies as a genre, but yeah, I'm still saying it. I really enjoy thrillers and mysteries, but I don't read as many of those as I do some of my other genres that I read. So I think those. Horror is something I keep saying I'd like to pick up, but I don't ever do. But I think I like the thriller side of horror more than horror. So yeah, thrillers and mysteries, I think. Yeah. Tracy has asked, if you could read one book for the first time again, what would it be? That's a difficult one, Tracy. Probably a thriller or a mystery that I've read before, just because that way you don't see this twist. You know, if you read it again, you know the twist. The Girl on the Train is a thriller that I really, really enjoyed, so I'd say probably that one. I do a lot of rereading, and I don't tend to mind if I know what's going on in general, like if it's something that isn't a thriller. Even then I don't mind, but yeah, thrillers are probably the ones that I'd like to, but there's no one in particular. That's not a very good answer, but there you go. Erin from Shebas and Shelves has asked a number of different questions. The first one that she asked is, what is one hyper-specific thing that makes you excited to pick up a book, e.g. trope setting? Something mythology, particularly Greek, but mythology in general. I love high fantasy, so anything with elves, dwarves, that sort of thing. I do like a good portal fantasy, so a portal fantasy. I love books that have multi-generational POVs, so anything like that as well. Erin also said, is there a book you love but almost never hear anyone else talk about? So the Thursday Next by Jasper Ford series, I haven't read them for a number of years, but I loved them when I first read them, which was back in sort of 2005 to 2007. I think that's it, really. You also asked, what is your ideal reading setup, including book format, trim size, snacks, beverage, clothes, seating, ambience, time of day, weather, etc. So I answered the weather question. I don't really mind, although when it starts to get a bit cooler and it's a bit sort of a dim day, I quite like snuggling up on the couch, lying on the couch under a blankie, so cooler weather with a cat. Cup of coffee or tea nearby. I can read with music, so I quite like having music on, but having said that, I don't have to read with music. Let me review what I've just said. So pajamas, lying on the couch, blanket, cat, a coffee or a tea nearby. Yeah, that sounds about perfect. The next question that Erin asked is, regardless of whether you had read them or not, would you prefer a book collection that looked pristine and untouched or well loved and reread? Non-catastrophic damage, the spines could be cracked but no pages will fall out. I'm not sure. I mean, I do love, having a bunch of pretty books on the shelf, and I do like when they look beautiful and pristine like in a bookstore, but the bookshelf I usually sit in front of is the bookshelf that has my Terry Pratchett collection and some of my favourites, and some of the Pratchetts are really, they're secondhand, they're worn out, they don't match, and I love them, and I'm not really that bothered by all of that because I think that just shows how much I love them, if that makes sense. Both in the fact that they're obviously well read, but also just the fact that I don't care, like I just want to have them. So I think probably the second, even though if my library looked like a bookstore, that would be amazing. But I'd prefer to know that I love them than know that they looked immaculate, if that makes sense. The next question from Erin. You're a book witch. You get an animal familiar of your choice and you can grant it the gift of human speech. The downside is it vehemently hates all your favourites and would tell you constantly. Do you grant your familiar human speech or let its opinions stay unknown? I would absolutely grant my familiar human speech. I would love it if my 3 cats could talk to me. That would just be so cool. I know they'd be so opinionated and potentially they would hate my favourites. I don't know. Maybe they'd love them, maybe they wouldn't. I think they're very opinionated already, so I just would love to know what they're thinking. So I would definitely. Okay, and then the final question that Erin asked, Erin really was thinking way outside the box. if you had a drinking vessel of your choice, in brackets, glass, goblet, mug, etc., that was the perfect size and shape and could always keep the beverage inside it fresh and at the same temperature, what temperature would you want it to be? And then she's added, you would still be able to drink out of other non-magical cups, so it's not like you'd never get a drink of a different temperature, but this cup is so perfect in your hand and on your lips and looks really cute, so you mostly only want to drink out of that one. So,
like water, just above ice temperature.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hi, Rowan.
Hi. Hello, Internet.
So yeah, that's what I think it means. I have my water bottle, which I carry around with me all the time, and I drink just room temperature water, which obviously means in Tassie, when it's winter, it can get quite chilly. Metal, so... but I partly carry a water bottle around with me because of cats, because our cats stick their faces in any open cup. So yeah, but I feel like that's already that, because I love a hot drink when it's hot and a cold drink when I want to have a cold drink, but for just I'm thirsty, I'll have a drink. I prefer room temperature water. Or, well, if it's really hot, I guess not. I guess cool. But this keeps things like not cold. I don't want ice cold, like Rowan just said. I want it to be cool but not freezing and not hot. So tap temperature water. And in Tasmania, tap temperature can be like drinkable, not lukewarm. I hope that makes sense. Then I have a question from Jo from Books Jo Reads, and she says, what gave you the inspiration and then courage to start your channel? So I kind of feel like I already answered that question before. The next couple of questions that I have here are from Dawn Bishop. So thank you, Dawn. And the first one is, what were your previous jobs? So before I moved to Tasmania to go back to uni and become a teacher, I was working in customer service for various different companies, different places. Before I finished my Master of Teaching and became a proper teacher, I was working in after school care, looking after children in after school care. Over the years, I've been both a teacher and an early childhood educator. So I hope that answered the question. She then asked, how did you and your partner meet? My friend Bianca has a friend, or has a friend, Mem, and Mem used to manage a small hotel. Bianca is from a different part of Tasmania, and one night she messaged me to say that she was staying in this hotel that Mem ran, and that Mem was having a games night at the hotel, and did I want to come? So I said yes, absolutely. So I went along. Bianca was there, who was my friend, and then everyone else I didn't know. And I was sitting next to Bianca, and on the other side of me was this guy. We were playing Cards Against Humanity, actually, and obviously I was chatting to Bianca, but I was also chatting a little bit to this guy who was Rowan. And then, I don't know, I just felt like he was really nice, and I felt like there was a bit of a connection between us. So I asked Bianca if she thought that I should ask Mem if she could ask Mem. Well, basically I asked Bianca if she thought that I should pursue something with this person, or pursue contacting him in some way. And so she contacted Mem and asked for some details, like, you know, did he have a partner? Did she think it would be okay if I contacted him? I think basically they just said, yeah, you should. And so I sent him a Facebook friend request, which is how we used to do things. I feel like Facebook has kind of become less of a thing, but anyway, it might be just me. But anyway, so yes, so I sent him a Facebook friend request, and he obviously said yes. And then I started chatting to him via Messenger, and then asked if we wanted to meet for a coffee. And so we met for a coffee, and then we met up again for brunch. He actually said that he had not that long ago split up with his partner and didn't want anything. I was like, that's fine. You know, that's cool. I've met a new friend, so that's fine. But we kept hanging out and getting closer, and then we just kind of were dating. And yeah, now we're together. So, like, you know, married and stuff. Yeah. And then the final question that Dawn asked is favourite Australian book? Another hard question. I don't know. I've read a number of really great Australian books recently. One that's coming to my mind, well, the author anyway, that's coming to my mind is Garth Nix. I've read his Sabriel series like 20 years ago or something and really, really enjoyed them. So he's a favourite author, favourite Australian author, but honestly, there's some really amazing Australian books out there. So yeah, I don't really know how to answer that question, sorry. And then the final bunch of questions are from Crystal from Bon Book Reviews. Thank you, Joe, for the question, and then obviously everyone else, and thank you, Crystal. So the first question she says is, where did your cats get their name? So Peanut and Pistachio were Rowan's cats before we got together. So as far as I am aware, there's no particular reason why they're Peanut and Pistachio per se, but Rowan, for whatever reason, loves P names for his cats. Before he had Peanut and Pistachio, he had two other cats called Peach and Pudding. Unfortunately, both passed away. And then he and his previous partner decided to go and get another cat. Ended up picking the two who were from the same litter, the twins, Peanut and Pistachio, and he just wanted to go with more P names, and he thought Peanut and Pistachio were cute. That's where Peanut and Pistachio's names came from. Shade was my cat before we got together, so I got her when she was a very, very small little kitten. My younger sister and I lived together at the time, and we were talking about what to name her, and I was messaging a good friend of mine about the fact that we'd just gotten a cat, and was saying, oh, we don't know what to name her, and he said, a character name is a really good place to go. Carol had just read the Shades of Grey series. She, as a joke, said, 50 Shades of Grey, or Shades of Grey, or something like that, as a joke. And I kind of looked at Shade, and I looked at Carol, and I said, Shade. Because Shade is actually, her coat is actually shades of grey. A little bit of white, tiny bit of brown, but mostly different shades of grey. So it worked. So it was a joke, but the name Shade actually really worked. So yeah, that's where Shade got her name, and the twins. The next question that Crystal asked is, if you could have any superpower, what would it be and why? Tricky, tricky, tricky. I think I'd say flying. I just think that would be just really useful, but also just really nice and really fun. Flying. And then Crystal asked, what's your least favourite genre? That is an excellent question. A few years ago, I would have said romance, but I've read some romances recently and quite enjoyed them. Yeah, so I guess romance, because it's still not something I tend to gravitate towards, but it's not a hated genre. So yeah, that is all of the questions for my Q&A that have been asked. Thank you so much to all those people that asked me questions. Thank you again so much for everyone who has subscribed and who supports me and is amazing. Yeah, like I said, thank you so much for those questions. They were really, really fun to answer, really interesting, and that was a really enjoyable video to make. And yeah, thank you everyone for getting involved in all the different various ways that people have over the years to help me and my channel grow. But yeah, that's it. Pretty long video, so I will go now. But yeah, if you have any comments on anything that I have talked about, please comment below. If you have any questions that weren't answered in this, please comment below, and I will save it for the next Q&A that I do at some point. If you would like to leave me a comment, or you've gotten this far and you just want to let me know you're here, then leave me a question mark emoji, because we were asking and answering questions. All of my social media details are listed in the description below, so if you're like to go and follow me on any of those other platforms, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for watching. I really, really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.